What's up, everybody? It is time for my latest vlog. This week I want to talk about memories and the emotional attachment that can come with them, and how we can bring stuff with us from years ago into our now, and we carry it with us that whole time and apply the feeling that happened in that moment to this moment here and now, and allow that to dictate the course of action that we take in this moment. This happened to me actually a few days ago. I woke up and I had a memory of a girl who I was interested in when I lived in Columbus, Georgia in the year 2014. I remember that it was St. Patty's Day because I was wearing this cheesy green hat. I'm pretty sure that there's a picture of it still out there somewhere. And at that point, I'd been talking to this girl for a few weeks in a type of manner in which we were both interested parties, or so I thought. At this bar that we were at for the St. Patrick's Day the festivities that were going on, I remember that she came up to me and she pointed out this girl that was friends of hers, and she was like, "Dude, you should go talk to her. See what happens." And then she also simultaneously started talking to a different dude, like right in front of me. It was at this moment that I realized that she probably wasn't interested in me the way that I was interested in her. And, when that happens, it's not the most enjoyable experience, as I'm sure everybody probably at some point has experienced. The whole you are interested in somebody, they're not interested back. But what I did, I remember when I remembered this memory, coming back, fast forwarding to a couple days ago, 5 years after the event, when I remembered that girl and that era and what happened, the emotional feeling that I had from that experience kind of jumped back out and bit me again. It was a feeling of, you're a failure, you're a reject, type of a thing that I had associated with myself subconsciously that came back here and now. And I allowed it to kind of, like, for a second, it had a sting to it. Now, what I would have done in the past, before I started to kind of take control of my thoughts and my emotions, and understand that I am in control of the way that I feel, that I am the one that gets to validate who I am and my worth and my value, all of those things. What I would have done is I would have taken it hard, and I would have sat there and based off of emotions from something that happened 5 years ago, I would have taken it and I would have probably scolded myself for being so naive in a list of things that I probably would have made that I should have done differently. And then I would have said something like, yeah, if I had just done that, then, so now that I know those things, if I were to ever see her again, I'm sure she'd be interested. And side note, she's married and she's got 2 kids, so but we're still friends. But that's a whole other thing. I'm not at that same spot anymore in interest towards her, other than platonic, not interested in going after married women on my vlog post here. So with that being said, I would have tried to come up with a list of things that would have, in my estimation, been acceptable to her in order to have her validate me here and now. And instead of what I do now, what I've learned now is that I'm the one that determines my value and my worth, and it's not about trying to think about what somebody else might be thinking about me and then basing my own life and my value and my worth off of whether or not I can pull that off in a way that is acceptable to that person. In other words, my value, my worth, my identity is not contingent on what somebody else's opinion of me is. It comes down to me. So what I did in this time, instead of like going through that, and then also instead of just rejecting it and dismissing it and saying, there's no value in thinking on that feeling that I had, this time I took a different approach. I said, I know who I am now, and I want to kind of approach this memory in a way in which I preserve the fact that it was a memory of something that happened to me. So there's value to it. But instead of associating the emotions that came with it and the way that I took it and the way that I interpreted it then, and allowing that emotion to carry over into here and now, I said, you know what? That was something that happened then, and that's how I felt then, but it's not how I feel now, and it doesn't represent me now. I guess the reason why I wanted to bring up that issue was because I know that there's a lot of people that do this. There's me being one of them. We carry stuff with us from years and years ago, and we allow it to influence the way that we feel about ourselves right now. And like, I've had memories from junior high where I did something stupid, and I'll still think about it, and I'll be like, dude, you were really stupid for doing that. Like, I'll give myself crap for something that happened when I was in junior high. It's like, at what point do you decide that you're going to let that go and not say that that is going to determine your value or your worth, your validity? We have to make that decision for ourselves, but it's something that you can make right here and right now. The past is something that was an event that happened then. Whatever happened then is no longer right here, right now. It is no longer you if you say that I am no longer that. If it's something that you're ashamed of or something that you don't want to be, you have just determined that that's not who you are or what you want to be. You do not need to keep driving yourself into the ground by bringing up past failures or regrets or remorses and saying that you have to carry that with you now and live in it. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself of it. Move forward and say that my value and my identity is determined right here and now, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to decide what that is. And for those of you who don't know what your identity is, there's some baseline things that you might as well just start believing because they're true. And you know that they're true because when you start focusing on them and meditating on them, they become part of you and they become real and they bring you life. That's how you know that they're real. If something brings you life to your life, then count it. Claim it as your own. So the things that you can take and stake in the ground as a baseline, foundational truths for yourself are that you have value, that you have worth, that you are significant, that you have a purpose, even if you don't know what it is. And the season of life that you're going through right now, you might not get it. You might not understand why you're going through it, but you are going through it and you can learn something from it that can make you better. So the other thing that we do now on the other side of it, you got the past over here where we live in the past and we carry it with us into our now moment right now. The other thing that we do is we worry about a future existence that hasn't occurred yet, and we think that by worrying about it, that we are somehow going to set ourselves up for some moment in the future where it's going to be better. It's not going to be better by you worrying about it. That's not going to make your future life better. What will make your future life better is to say, I'm not going to worry and I'm going to act. I'm going to act in a way that demonstrates what I actually want for my existence right now. Your now will make your future better. So something that, for example, in my life, I play guitar. I'm writing some books. I'm doing this vlog thing, which I would love to do on a more regular, full-time type of a basis. That'd be awesome. So I was thinking about this the other day. Every time I still do these vlogs, I still get a little nervous about them. And it's like part of me just doesn't want to do them. But what I realized is that feeling is, again, as I've talked about in previous vlogs, that is a false advisor. That feeling is saying, dude, don't do it. You know, that's not safe. That feeling and that voice are preventing me from getting the things that I actually want and the things that I actually want for my future. You know, a lot of times, like, we say to ourselves, oh yeah, one day I'm going to do this. One day it'd be nice to have this or that. And, but man, I'm just not there. I got to get this and this taken care of first. And so my point is, the things that you like to do right here, right now, even if you're not good at them, the more you do them, the more it makes your future better, because you're doing the things that you love and you're becoming better at them. So you are essentially allowing your future to grow along with you. That's how, like, so if I play guitar for an hour today, in my future, tomorrow, I'm an hour's worth of practice better on guitar than I was today. So your here and now, today, is what it is. Whatever you want it to be, wherever you want to go and wherever you want to grow, the things that they might be hard in the moment, you might not know how to do it or where to go, but being willing to try it and saying, this is how I'm going to invest in my future. The way that the future gets better is by starting right here and now. So if you're addicted to something, if you're saying like, dude, I want to kick this addiction and I'm going to do it someday, start on it now. And I'm not saying that maybe it's too overwhelming for you to think about starting it in a sense of going cold turkey, but you can start the process. Say that you are really addicted to smoking. So smoke one less cigarette each day. Say that you are addicted to, you've got a drinking problem. Drink one less drink. It's better than if you just keep the same amount and say, well, I haven't fixed this yet, but one day I will. Just do it. Start planning your future by making your now better. So that has kind of helped me to feel better about when I sit down and I do these vlogs. I'm not like perfect at them yet. There's a long ways that I can go to get better. But every time I do one of these things, it helps me get a little bit closer because I just gave myself that much more practice. So that's kind of my thought for today. And I'm actually writing something about it. So I don't want to make any guarantees that it's going to be out anytime soon. But I am writing about this particular topic. Real quick, I might as well just talk about Game of Thrones. The episode 5 of 6 was on last night. At this point, now that I've given my little talk about what I normally do in my vlog, if you want to tune out, if you haven't seen it yet, or if you just don't care, now's the time to do it. But Game of Thrones, episode 5, season 8, this was the second to last episode ever for Game of Thrones, and it was pretty good. I have some conflicting feelings though. It's pretty wild. Some crazy stuff happened. If you watched my last vlog, I was talking about episode 3, which was the giant battle between the living and the dead. Well, this battle was between the North and Daenerys and that army that defeated the dead. Now they're coming back down south, and they are taking on evil Queen Cersei at King's Landing. And evil Cersei, she's just, everybody knows how evil she is. But the twist of this episode, which I appreciate them, because one of the problems I had with the last episode was episode 3 of this season, was that they turned back into normal Hollywood. They became too predictable. Like the people that were all of the popular characters, they all survived. Not the case in this one. They went nuts. I mean, not only did they go nuts and kill off a bunch of people, but they took arguably the most popular one, Daenerys, and they straight up transformed her in the course of this episode from the hero to the villain. So we had very little character development other than maybe last episode, in which she kind of starts to become bitter about how Jon Snow is more popular than she is, and she's getting paranoid because she knows he's got a better claim to the Iron Throne than she does. Well, now she's at the spot where some stuff goes down at this war where for some reason, so the forces of the North, with Jon Snow leading and Daenerys also leading, they are pretty much annihilating King's Landing. The Lannister army is getting just wiped out initially, and for some crazy reason, her dragon is like indestructible, and it literally took out all of the Scorpion bolts, those giant arrow shooting things. It took them out in like 5 minutes, all of them. And whereas last episode, they were deadly accurate and they killed the other dragon with like 3 direct hits. So I thought that was a little bit, I thought that was a little bit dumb how like they made those Scorpion ballistas, whatever they're called, they made them so strong in that episode, and now suddenly she can't get hit by anything. And not only that, she's like literally blowing up giant stone walls with the dragon fire. It looked kind of cool, but it's like, how did you always have this explosive of dragon fire? Or is it just now suddenly great now that we're on this episode and you need conveniently that for the wall to break so that as the writers you can make it look just overwhelming and you can do it in the course of one episode? It felt rushed to me, and it felt like they took some liberties in the physics of their own reality in order to just fit it into one episode. So I had a problem with that. Then though, the big thing is like if the bells ring, that the city will be saved. All of these innocent people, like if the bells ring, that means that they're surrendering. That way, the Jon Snow, Daenerys army don't have to level the place to the ground and kill all of these innocent people. They're waiting. It was a great moment. We were hanging on a thread, waiting to find out if the bells would indeed ring to signal a surrender from King's Landing. Well, you're waiting, just hoping, that these innocent people don't have to die. Daenerys is sitting there poised and ready. Everybody's alert. And in this episode, you didn't know what was going to happen. So then the bells ring and you're like, oh, you breathe a sigh of relief. No, don't breathe a sigh of relief. This is where it got a little weird. Daenerys then, after she has essentially received the surrender from the people in King's Landing, the bells are ringing, which means that they're done fighting. The soldiers have thrown down their swords. Daenerys is just sitting there, and then she decides that at that moment, I'm just going to go and literally roast everything in the city. She went off and went Mad Queen on King's Landing, and just for the next half an hour of the show, it was her flying around with her dragon, melting and burning innocent people alive and destroying like every building with her dragon. I thought that was a little much. You didn't need to take it to that level, other than the fact that now you are the greatest villain and you truly are the Mad Queen. It's going to set up the next episode because we're going to be like, oh, okay, we don't know who's going to take her down. Hopefully somebody can, and there's not a Mad Queen ruling the world now. But you could have kind of pulled off the same thing in a milder tone. What I thought was going to happen the moment that she kind of like jumped up onto her dragon and they took off again after the bells had ring, Cersei was standing up in her stupid tower, looking out a window with what's his name, Qyburn, and the Mountain. They were just standing there, watching all of this happen. And when Daenerys jumped onto her dragon, I was expecting that Daenerys is going to be like, all right, here we go. I'm going to go and put an end to Cersei right now. That would have been awesome. I would have been down with that. She flies right on up. She's like, oh, you rang the bells? Well, I don't really care. This is what's going to happen now. And she comes up, she flies up deliberately, straight up to that tower with the dragon. The dragon pops its head right in there and just annihilates them all. The end. Cersei gets what she has coming to her. The mountain gets it. Quayburn, or whatever his name is, they all get it. But no, they didn't even do that. Cersei and all of them escaped. Which, I mean, it set up a secondary kind of a cool thing, because the Mountain and the Hound they finally fought it out, and that was pretty sweet. So I guess my main thoughts are, again, it was pretty good. I liked that they reintroduced the unpredictable element to it. It was a way that it could have went down in a real scenario, so I appreciate that they allowed the story to go in a way that wasn't predictable, in the sense that, like, this could have happened. It could have went that way. But as far as just supporting the strength of the whole franchise and allowing it to still have an unpredictable nature while not going just off the deep end, I feel like they didn't write it out the way that I would have preferred it to. Maybe they did that on purpose. I don't know. Anyways, that's the end of my rant. That's the end of my critique of Game of Thrones season 5, or season 8, episode 5. We have one episode left. I will definitely be talking about it come next week. I'm definitely stoked about it still. I have to watch it, even if it's terrible. I mean, the whole series, I watched the entire thing a couple months leading up to it, and I'm not stopping now, that's for sure. So, with that being said, you guys, love you. Feel free to subscribe to my Facebook, or to my YouTube channel. Like me on Facebook, inbox me. I have a page, Believe You Me, on Facebook. Feel free to like that. And just stay strong. Don't allow your past to determine your moment right now of who you are, your worth of right now. Don't worry about the future and think that that's going to make your now better. Act and make your future better right now. Love you guys. Thanks. See you next week.